So, speaking of the Dems, yeah, right? Should we go take a look at their premier propaganda channel? Rachel Maddow has figured this out, she says, and unlocked the mystery of why we are going to war. It is because of these foreign countries manipulating the president and the way that Jared Kushner is in hock to them. Guess what country she does not name among the foreign countries that she believes are the primary reason we are now at war with Iran? I'll let you guess, and you can take a listen to what she has to say. Who benefits? It is always useful to start with that question in any conflict. Who wants Iran bombed off the map and for their own reasons? Who are Iran's rivals and enemies? Perennially, it's the Gulf Arab states, like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, the country that just gave Donald Trump a really nice $400 million plane, a gilded flying palace for his own use, both during the presidency and after. Trump plans to take that plane with him and keep using it after he leaves office, if he ever does. And you remember the United Arab Emirates, famous for recently structuring a crypto financial transaction so that $2 billion would be stuffed into the Trump family's otherwise worthless new crypto firm. And of course, the Saudis, who stuffed another $2 billion into the pockets of Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, just as Trump's first term came to a close. Enough people were alarmed about that when it happened, that the Trump team actually bothered to come up with an excuse. They said, "Don't worry, Jared will never again work for the US government. He's never coming back to Washington. So it's okay that he has taken all this money from the Saudis now. We will never have to worry about having somebody involved in US policy who has also just been given billions by Saudi Arabia for no apparent reason." That was the explanation when he took the money from the Saudis at the end of Trump's first term. And now today, who has been leading the negotiations on behalf of the United States government with Iran before we started this war with them? Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in street kits this week, but it wasn't him. No, it was Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, recently paid billions by Iran's chief rival, sitting there alongside Trump's real estate friend Steve Witkoff, who has sought to improve his family fortunes by going to Qatar to seek money from its sovereign wealth fund. How insane is it at the beginning when she asks, who benefits, who wants to see Iran bombed, who constantly hates Iran? And the obvious answer is the country run by the guy who said this has been his dream for 40 years. How about Israel? And yet she lists Qatar and Saudi Arabia. There is a point about the Saudis in particular as regional rivals, with Iran, Sunni versus Shia, and some reporting suggests the Saudis were involved in this war too. Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million for his campaign. How is that not anywhere in her list? It is crazy to me. This is the second time she has done this. She is all in on this. This is her new Russiagate. There will be others at the network who take up this line because she sets the tone as the quarterback of the network. Even with the Democratic base, who probably still loves Rachel Maddow, this is not going to work. The views on Israel and the widespread belief that it was Israel and Trump trying to cover up the Epstein files that got us into this war in Iran will persist among the Democratic base and the broader public, no matter how Rachel Maddow tries to shape this narrative. It was wild to see her go down that list and leave Israel off entirely. I'm watching it and wondering if this is willful at this point. The only answer seems to be yes. This is the NBC News approved way of talking about corruption and why we got into the war. Every once in a while they have somebody on who tells the truth, but honestly, look at CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. How often do they talk about Israel in a way that addresses how they dragged us into this war with Trump? Do they talk about the 40-year commitment? The closest we got was Laura Ingraham asking Ted Cruz if it was weird how tied Lindsey Graham was with Mossad, but even then, she still supports the war. That is about as close as it gets. There have been no real panels or guests that go after the true reasons. That is part of why public sentiment is what it is. Enough people are still saying no to this war despite the propaganda. The boomers are still where they are because they literally do not have the information. It is also why Trita Parsi is such an important media figure. They have him on MSNBC and CNN, and he is one of the few who actually understands the world and tells the truth. Basically, the only group in the country that still supports Israel the way they used to is boomer Republicans. The Democratic base has moved on completely. It is done. Independents overwhelmingly as well. The numbers from NBC News show how views on Israel have shifted between 2023 and 2026. Back in 2023, overall, 47% had a positive view and only 24% negative. Now, overall, it is 32% positive and 39% negative, so a plurality of the country has a negative view. Among Democrats, only 13% still have a positive view, while 57% have a strongly negative view. 3 years ago, it was evenly split. Among independents, only 21% are positive. The only group with net favorable views are Republicans, down from 63% positive in 2023 to 54% now. The age breakdown shows it is boomer Republicans who are still carrying the torch.